Good evening. My name is Stephanie Bruno, and on behalf of the Old Bridge PTA President's Council, I would like to welcome you to Candidates Night. We will begin with a brief statement from each of the candidates in the order that they will appear on your ballot. There are 6 candidates running for 3 seats, each for a 3-year term. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to give their statement. Candidate number 1 is Richard Dunn.
Good evening. My name is Richard Dunn, and I'm running for a seat on the Old Bridge Board of Education. Some people may know me, and some people may not know me. However, I've been a community-minded volunteer here in this great community of Old Bridge for the last 20-plus years. And I'm here to serve, and I'm here to fight for your children and fight for what's right for this community. I've been a volunteer fireman here for 21 years. I attained the position of fire chief for 7, and I've been given back to this community not only in the fire department, but on the school board. I've been on the school board previously for 10 years. I was a two-year past president, and I was able to work very collaboratively with my team when we were on the board to bring very good programs which benefit our children. Full-day kindergarten, which was an extraordinary accomplishment for this town. We never had kindergarten in this town until we, the board, at least 6 of us, 3 voted against it, but we fought for it. We got that done. I fought for many programs that are here today, and I want to continue that fight. So that's why I'm back up at this stage, since I believe I have the knowledge, the experience, the institutional knowledge of what happens with the Board of Ed. Sitting here for 10 years, I get to know how things work, and I get to know how things can be manipulated. I believe my past accomplishments, like I said, I was the president during that period where we got full-day kindergarten put in place. I fought and supported for the security initiative that's here. We advocated the energy savings ESIP program, which brought in a lot of great programs to save energy costs. There's a lot of problems: sequestration of state aid, the redistricting of this community, of the school district, the aging buildings. But why should you vote for Rich Dunn? I have the institutional knowledge. I'm going to keep politics out of this school district because politics don't belong in education. I'm telling you that by voting for me, I will ensure that your child gets a fair and equitable education, and I will fight for them. Vote Rich Dunn, number 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate number 2 is Karan Venkatesan.
Good evening. I want to start with a small quote by Benjamin Franklin. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. My name is Kiran Venkatesan, and I'm honored to be here tonight as a candidate for the Old Bridge Board of Education. Having lived in New Jersey for over 18 years, I've seen the impact a strong educational system can have on the community. With over 22 years in software engineering and IT leadership, I currently serve as a vice president at a major insurance company, leading a global IT engineering team. My professional journey has equipped me with skills to solve complex business problems and optimize processes. Beyond my career, I deeply committed to education. My wife, Lata, a principal scientist, and I share a strong family background in education. Our boy-girl twins attend Madison Park, and we are passionate about ensuring all students in our district receive the best education possible. One of my primary reasons I'm running is to give back to the community that has given so much to my family. I also believe in the power of education to transform lives. My goal is to bring the corporate experience to address the challenges our school district faces, improve fiscal health, and enhance educational outcomes. I advocate for parental rights, academic excellence, equitable funding, and low taxes. I promote health, wellness, sports, and arts. I'm also deeply aware of and committed to supporting the special education needs of all children, including those who are highly able. Through strategic planning and optimization, I aim for better governance and fine-tuned communications to enhance our school district. I'm committed to working with parents, teachers, and administrators to ensure our schools are safe, nurturing, and academically excellent for all students. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate number 3 is Jay Slade.
Hi, good evening, and thank you to the PTA President's Council for the invitation. I would also like to thank all the candidates here tonight who chose to step up and volunteer their services. For those who don't know me, my name is Jay Slade, and I'm seeking to be re-elected for a seat on the Board of Education. I'm living in Old Bridge for 20 years. At home, I've got my wife, Carrie, and my two beautiful girls, both who attend Salk Middle School. I'm a financial advisor by trade, so a numbers guy, a problem solver. For new candidates, as I was 3 years ago, campaigning is a matter of intentions, forecasting, and goals. I'm proud to use my last 3 years as my resume of what I'm about as a board member. I wear as a badge of honor that I pioneered getting board members into our schools to get a bird's eye view of what we're managing. I opened up a line of communication with the administration to get to know what they do and how they do it. I mean, how can I manage a process without knowing what the players do for a living? That in itself has made me a very resourceful board member. My contact list is extensive to help point parents and students in the right direction. Over the last 3 years, I've eaten school lunches with our students, sat on school bus tours, and I've accepted practically every invitation to see all our schools, what they're doing. My message to you is that I'm present. I'm proud to be part of a board that has saved Old Bridge schools doing historic state aid cuts, potential program cuts, and staff reductions. I was also part of the negotiations committee that helped reach a settlement with the OBEA, which let our teachers start the school year with a 5-year contract. I am open-minded, I make decisions from the heart, and I understand how the system works. Every new candidate deserves an opportunity, but voting for my re-election is voting for experience. Voting for a board member whose decisions are based on facts, no peer pressure, no personal agendas, just a love at what I do. There's different types of board members out there, those who follow a script and never fall out of character, and those who are willing to listen, learn, and evolve. I am the latter. Vote number 3 on the ballot. I am rational, not radical. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate number 4 is Carl Von Stetten.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the President's Council for hosting us. My name is Carl Von Stetten. I've lived in Old Bridge for 12 years. I'm married to my incredible wife, Stephanie, and I have 3 wonderful children. My son is in Salk, and both my daughters are at Southwood. I'm also involved in the community by being on the board of directors for the Old Bridge Soccer Club. I'm running for the Board of Education because as a parent and a taxpayer, I wanted to get more involved. While we do great things as a school community, I feel we can always do better for our children. I believe we need to refocus on things such as addressing learning loss from COVID, responsible spending of our tax dollars, and giving our children the access and opportunities to in-school programs and after-school programs that they deserve. As a musician for 30 years, I understand the importance of the arts, sports, after-school activities in our schools. They're vital in creating well-rounded children that will succeed as adults. Our taxes have gone up quite a bit this past year, while we're losing valuable services such as late buses, and as a parent, that's extremely concerning. As someone who's worked in IT and operations for almost 20 years, I feel that I could bring some fresh perspective and ideas to the Board of Education. I'm a strong believer in parental rights, operational transparency, and responsible spending. Yes, I've had disagreements in the past with some of the way things were run in the school, but I believe we can all work together, no matter what our beliefs and opinions are, for all of our children in Old Bridge to have the highest quality education. I will work with the administration, teacher, staff, and fellow board members if I'm elected to achieve that. I won't agree with every issue and every cause, and you as a community won't agree with every vote I cast if I'm elected. But that will not stop me from working to give the children of Old Bridge the high quality education they deserve. On November 5th, I humbly ask you to vote number 4. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate number 5 is Brooke Richards Pattison.
Hi, thank you for hosting this tonight and giving us an opportunity to express ourselves. My name is Brooke. I am a single parent of 2 children. I am running for one of the 3 seats of Old Bridge Education, number 5 on the ballot. My co-parent's very supportive of this. He knows how passionate I am, and he's even willing to switch some of the days so I don't have to miss so much mom time with our son. We moved to Old Bridge for its excellent school systems 12 years ago. My daughter started here in 4th grade and graduated from Old Bridge High School through its pre-med program. She's now a senior at James Madison University for nursing. My son has been in the school system since kindergarten and is now a 6th grader in middle school. My experience personally has been growing up with a broken home life, dealing with trauma from a young age, and transforming into a very hands-on parent. My background is working with individuals with developmental disabilities, then moving more into the medical field from understanding employment laws, hiring, managing, billing, working with vendors, and customer relations. My work life has made me very comfortable in working with personnel concerns and to respond in a grounded, responsible manner. I have an objective approach to all scenarios and want to take this on with the board with a more open but wholesome direction than it's been in the past. For years, I never questioned the decisions and policies of the Board of Education. All of that changed when the pandemic impacted our schools, and I am not alone. Though my high school was more than versed with teams, this has an impact on my son. I'm grateful for Mr. Selikowski and Mr. Weber for both trying to remain open and advocate for our youth's emotional and educational welfare. This volunteer position is something you need to have thick skin for, yet still be proactive, transparent, and professional, all while remaining unbiased. This is a place of business. I am up to the task and making time, just as I do my paid job. Let's respect diversity and still keep morals intact. Parental rights should be at the forefront. I think the board needs to improve on being more direct with parents. Stating that items are on the website simply isn't enough. Important matters need to be better delivered to parents, stakeholders who should weigh in on major decisions that could impact their own children and how their tax dollars are being spent. I think parents should have more involvement in the curriculum and major budget changes and cuts. This hasn't been the case, though one brave Board of Ed member did encourage parents to speak on the vulgar health curriculum proposed 2 years ago, and it's why we align. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate. Candidate 6 is Moray Kemu-Wicks.
Hi, everyone. Thank you to the President Council and all attendees for allowing us to speak tonight. I am candidate number 6, Maria Kamo-Wicks. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I am a mother of 3, a homeowner, and have been a resident of Old Bridge for over 45 years, since 1979. I am a proud alumni of Old Bridge schools, along with 5 of my cousins and 2 of my older kids. I attended Glenn Miller Carpenter Salk Madison Central, class of 1992. My son Marquise graduated in 2019. My daughter Milani graduated this past June and is now at Rowan University. My youngest, Amina, is an 8th grader at Salk. I have been a dedicated volunteer in the Old Bridge community for many years, including I served as a volunteer basketball coach for OBBA, and I've been active in the PTA, SEPTA, and school events spanning for over 17 years. I also regularly participate in the BOE meetings as well as their curriculum meetings and committee meetings. I attended Rutgers and have over 25 years of experience in business administration. I'm currently serving as an executive associate at a major pharma company and have managed budgets from $3 million to $40 million, which achieved significant savings. My deep connection to Old Bridge shows my deep roots and my commitment to its future. As many have seen over the last few years, running for or being on the Board of Education in a town can be challenging, especially when personal biases, personal agendas, outside organizations, or political parties become part of the equation. But I plan to be the bridge that stops the divide within the community by fostering and presenting a unique opportunity to bring about positive change and unity. I'm dedicated to ensuring all children have the same opportunities my family has enjoyed, maintaining educational integrity and excellence for all children, and bringing back the focus to having teachers teach, children learn, and parents be involved. Because maintaining our school system for the present and future children of our town is crucial to our community's vitality. I thank you, everyone. I'm grateful for this opportunity to be considered for Board of Education, and good luck to all.
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer portion of the evening. The questions this evening were submitted via email by Old Bridge residents and taxpayers. We will also be accepting written questions from members of the audience. Questions from the floor must address all candidates. Due to the number of questions we received, not all questions submitted will be asked. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer. Candidates, please remember that phones and smartwatches are not permitted during this event. When your time is up, you must immediately conclude your results. Time limits are strictly followed to ensure fairness to all candidates. Candidates cannot concede their time to other candidates. Candidates may not address their comments to other candidates. Audience members may not address the candidates. We reserve the right to remove any candidate or audience member who is disrespectful to our volunteers or cannot abide by these rules. Question 1. Why are you running for the Board of Education? If elected, what will your priorities be? Mr. Dunn.
Running for the Board of Education is a very important piece of who I am. There are so many things that are out there that are important that we address systemically to ensure that things get done for our children. I feel that the board has lost its way over the last few years. Yes, I was on the board for 10 years, from 2011 to 2021, and I was a big part of what we did for this community. And we did it in a way where we were collaborative and unified, and we were able to get the programs that mattered most done for our community. We got full-day kindergarten done, we got counselors in the schools, we brought back enhanced RTI services. So I believe my work is not finished, so I want to continue working towards bringing a better school system. Obviously, we worked hard to get the 3 A's involved in our educational system. The 3 A's are academics, athletics, and performing arts. And when you have a well-rounded student, that's when they excel. And this community owes it to our children for them to be well-rounded citizens and give them the right start in life. So I believe that I bring the experience and knowledge to be able to be an effective board member, and I'm here to serve the public as I've done in the past. Thank you.
Candidate number 2, Mr. Venkatesan.
So here are a few reasons I'm running for the Board of Education. Of late, as most of us know, or everyone know, our state funding has decreased significantly. And now is the time to really stand up and look at how we are going to manage this situation, because year over year, it's been 7 years now, right? So we are at a reset. The clock is reset right now. So that's one of the reasons. And second is, academically, the schools are performing great. Let's say, at about 55 and 33% in terms of reading and math proficiency. But I'm here to see how we can take it further high. Comparing to our other top schools in New Jersey, they are at 69% and 56%. So I want to look at more from a strategic planning perspective, how we can get better and better. And the third reason is I'm heavily invested in strategic planning, right? As much as I said in my first point that, there is a time for reset, the reset really begins with strategic planning. And during this time, we want to clearly establish some objectives and key results, working with the school administration, setting up goals for the school administration, and how we can measure our progress. That's something which we need to cultivate. I don't see we are having a measure like a quarterly measure. We have probably at a yearly level. So these are some of the points, and the priorities would be, like I said, fiscal and academic excellence and strategic planning. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate number 3, Mr. Slade.
First and foremost, I enjoy being on the board. I'm having a great time. I met a lot of great people. I basically like where I am today, as opposed to where I was 3 years ago. I never pretended to be the smartest guy in the room, but I'm definitely smarter than I was 3 years ago. And I did that by building alliances with, like my opening statement, the people that I met out in the district. Any of my decisions that I've made has been based on meeting principals, vice principals, crossing guards, paras, seeing how the system works. Again, my open dialogue with the administration, they're the education people, so they know how to run the system. So I'm looking forward to come back to continue to do what I'm doing, to be present in the district, and making all my decisions based on facts as opposed to hearsay. And most importantly, I'm having a great time. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate number 4, Mr. Von Stetten.
Well, one of the reasons I want to give back to the schools that have been really good to my kids. So far, they've received an unbelievable education. Teachers they've had have been wonderful, and I want to give back. One of the things I would concentrate on is shared services with the town. I think we could do better with that. I think we can, budgets are tight. I think working with the town on shared services might, alleviate some of that. I'd like to make sure that arts programs are maintained. Maybe more money towards arts programs. Like I said in my opening statement, I'm a musician of 30 years. And give some of the kids more opportunities in that area.
Thank you. Candidate number 5, Ms. Richards-Patterson.
Thank you. I really feel like the reason I'm running is because it's just time for change. There's been a lot of division on the Board of Education to the point where, we're sitting here right now in a classroom, in a children's classroom, at a high school, and the type of language that's being used back and forth, family members showing up to Board of Ed meetings to, talk down to Board of Ed members. It has to stop. There has to be some better guidelines, some more code of conduct policies, I think, put in place, definitely to oversee personnel and decisions such as learning loss. I saw at the last meeting 2 times it was asked about test scores before and after COVID. We have yet to get answers to that. I have personally shown up to curriculum meetings, which I will again tomorrow, and find out why we haven't had answers and why the kids that are set back from learning loss and the shutdown have not been addressed or tended to. The budgeting is obviously a huge concern. Thank you. And again, I just want to make a difference for my kids and serve the people of Old Bridge. It's time for change. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate number 6, Ms. Camu-Wicks.
To be a good board education member, it involves a combination of skills, qualities, and a genuine commitment to improving education, which I feel I possess. My experiences that would make me a good BOE member is my extensive involvement with the schools and school administration for almost 17 years, as well as being a lifelong volunteer for our community, a lifelong resident, a taxpayer, and as a parent. I attend BOE meetings, the committees, the PTA, SEPTAs, all the meetings, where I have learned what it takes to be a BOE member, as well as to listen and advocate to what are the needs of everyone, from the students, educators, parents, and our community. I have often spoken publicly at meetings to voice my ideas, as well as be a voice and advocate for others. I also bring a wealth of knowledge of years from a professional aspect of budget management, policy writing, rules and regulation coding, contract negotiations, organizational alignment, and as well as being that community resident that we need up here. I know I have a passion for education. I care deeply about the quality of our education and the well-being of our students. I have a clear vision for the district and will be able to work with others as well to achieve this. I'm skilled in teamwork. I can collaborate to make sure that ideas are well-rounded and beneficial to all. I'm able to communicate effectively with the community, parents, other education, which is crucial because it's a missing piece in a lot of it. I am data savvy, which will help to identify student needs and to ensure that policies are effective and resources are used wisely. I am fiscal responsible, and especially currently with our budget cuts, we need this. I've also been an
Thank
advocate.
you.
Thank you. I can't see all the way over there.
Next question. How will you strengthen the relationship between families and the district? Karan.
It's a very good question. How will you strengthen the relationship between family and the district? So it all starts at the home and the school, because these are the 2 important places our lives revolve around. So coming from a school district perspective, let's start from there, because that's where we send our kids and they spend most of their time in schools. As part of the reset that I said, strategically we should start planning towards establishing some kind of programs that involve parents more and more, right? So I know recently there are some programs that have started, but strategically looking at it, I think we need to encourage parents' participation into school procedures, right? As we do our strategic planning, but there are great minds in this town, right? Involve great minds to come and participate in those committee meetings. We can even, have some of them, volunteer as part of the board and involve them in strategic planning. And while doing that, you get more parents involved. And the next thing is our communications to the children, because I have twins, like boy and a girl. I see the communications coming through the schools. What is one, different and the other is different, right? But I want to bring in some kind of a unified communication of all means that the same teachers, who really teach, all of these kids, they should all be informed and bring some efficiency and optimization in the communication flow. And these are some things I think, that I'll be working on. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay?
I think the best way to strengthen a relationship, obviously, is communication. I think to be an effective board member, you got to be an active participant in the community, which I am. You've got to have some presence. People have to see you, not just at the bagel store, at the pizza store. You have to make yourself present. I'm a big advocate of committee meetings. I've mentioned this in the past. Committee meetings are very low key. You get involved, you get to sit in a room with the Board of Education, the administration, and it's a less intimidating approach to get your opinions across. So, as I mentioned at some board meetings, I'll continue to be an advocate for committee meetings because it's a great opportunity to have your voices heard in a very low-key way, which is nice. It's not intimidating. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl?
Thank you. Communication. I think there's been I feel like there's been some issues with communication from the Board of Education with major issues such as school buses, late buses being cut and whatnot. I think it's very important that we make sure that those are out there because parents work. There's two-parent full-time work. They don't pay attention to either candidates' Facebook pages or social media. It just needs to be out there better. I think encouraging parent involvement with committee meetings, more committee meetings, I think should be used. I attended one with the late buses, and I thought it was a great forum for the public to speak and bring their concerns out to the Board of Education. And to their credit, they listened. They tried to brainstorm as much as they could, and I think we need more of that in the community, especially to bridge that divide that's been going on for the past couple years. Thank you.
Thank you. Brooke?
Can you repeat the question?
How will you strengthen the relationship between families and the district?
Thank you. Strengthen the relationship, I think, again, is just complete transparency. Again, I know I brought it up before, but there was, the big meeting 2 years ago with the health curriculum. We got the same email from the same Board of Ed member multiple times to the point where it triggered me to wonder, why do I keep getting this email? What is this person trying to tell me? And then to, read the curriculum and learn more about it. I was so grateful. And I have to say, there had to be hundreds of people in that room at that time, all parents advocating for our children. I would love to see more of that. I would love to, it can be overwhelming and overstimulating at times as far as the social media. Maybe we could mainstream that a little more and funnel it all together, because we have like 40 documents in the backpack. If you have multiple kids in multiple schools, that can be overwhelming and taxing. I have to go to Twitter to see the principal's Spirit Week and go to the PTA page on Facebook to see what's going on with events. It can be, to the point where then you miss some of this important stuff. And I don't want to miss the important stuff. And I know the more I talk about the things that matter to me with other parents and why I'm running, they had no idea a lot of these things were going on in the schools. And again, it's not because it's not on the website. It's not because we haven't said anything or announced the meetings or agendas. It's because we're all busy. We all are in a rush. We're all on the go. We're all, scrolling through. It has to be more in the face. And I'm also all for the committee meetings. I think the parent universities have been extremely helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Murray?
I believe our district does offer a lot of opportunities for parents to get involved, but there's no attendance. We need to amp up the participation and spread the word. They do surveys for parents, but last year there was only 20% response of the whole population. When there's a hot topic, they do offer something like a mini town hall meeting in the next room where we do the open forum for the questions and the answers. But maybe we start adding students so that we can get their opinions. This way it'll bring the parents out. And then whatever the outcome is, we share it with all. I would work with PTAs and student councils in order to engage with in order to understand their perspective of the students, to also involve them with the discussions and policy and programs. This will also bring the parents. I would maybe offer creating an advisory committee, which would include parents, students, teachers, and community members. The committee can provide valuable insights and recommendations on specific issues that we're experiencing, and maybe tie in any information from the other PTAs to other student councils. I would promote more parents to email their concerns. Try to have others share communications for those who don't have social media. And then this way we create a more inclusive and responsive decision-making process that reflects the needs and aspirations of a community. Because a lot of times we get left with people didn't know something happened, because if you're not tech savvy, you're not getting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich?
Parental involvement is extremely important for the success of a student, and we need to strengthen that relationship between the parents, students, and our schools. As we know, there are mechanisms and there's vehicles for that to occur. Obviously, we have the PTAs, which play an incredible important role with that relationship. A lot of activities are promoted by the local or the individual school PTAs, which encompasses students and their parents to be involved. But one thing I noticed by my time on the board and spending time with different PTAs is that parents don't get involved. They need to take an interest in their students' lives, and they need to participate in the PTA process. They need to participate in the open houses that they have at each school. That's going to strengthen the teacher and parent relationship, which will strengthen the relationship between the schools and the parents. There's a lot of different vehicles we can use. Social media is important. We need to have more nights, family nights, that the Board of Education has to promote, because you know what? The Board of Ed is in the business of educating students, but also helping and supporting families. And that's something that this board needs to do more. We need to utilize our abilities as a school district and outreach to the parents to bring them in. Let's work together through different evenings, family fun nights. More of that type of environments will solidify and strengthen the relationships. And when you have a parental and a family unit that is strong along each school district, great things will happen for education of our children.
Thank you. Question 3. Educating a student with disability costs more money than educating a general education student. This cost impacts the school budget. As a BOE member, how will you ensure that the budget cuts do not come at the expense of students with disabilities and their legal rights? Mr. Slade?
Well, when it comes to the special education students, I mean, in my opinion, they should be on the front line. No student should be sacrificed, or teachers be sacrificed based on budget issues. And I know we took a careful look at that when we had our budget meetings. We were even looking at paras. I think paras are a very important aspect to the special education area, how much they're getting paid, who we're recruiting. So if I'm reelected on the board, I'll continue to support our special education department. I'll continuously reach out to our friends at SEPTA and CPAG, because they're the ones who actually give us the information of what we need. As a Board of Ed member, it's one thing, but those guys are the experts. So keeping a nice contact and a friendship with them is going to help us make better decisions. But I don't believe there should ever be a cut, especially for our special education department. I'll definitely support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Von Stetten?
Thank you. It's a simple answer for me. I won't vote to cut any funding to the special education programs. In fact, I would rather enhance them. I can tell you a quick personal story. I have a cousin who has Down syndrome, and they had wonderful special education programs in his school and even in the college that he attended and received a degree. I think that, yeah, we definitely need to enhance those special education programs. An example of that is the Grade 9 Center, the room that they built for, the new room that they built. My apologies, a little nervous. But yeah, I wouldn't cut a penny. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Richards-Patterson?
Thank you. I agree. I mean, I would be surprised if anybody said otherwise on this panel. I mean, we're all here for a common cause, and it's our kids. And, you know, certainly no student left behind, but certainly not our special needs kids. If anything, they need more resources. And I know, because I've been a guest, thankfully I'm very grateful to have been able to partake a little bit with the CPAG group to learn a little more, and I certainly want to learn more, certainly more with SEPTA also. But you know, there's a lot of parents that are in the same boat as me, and my child is not classified, my child is not special needs, and I'm frustrated as far as the setbacks. So I certainly want to support everybody that's in this position, and mainstream our special needs kids as best as we can, and offer them every opportunity that every other child, you know, has and deserves.
Thank you. Ms. Camo-Wicks?
I've been a member of SEPTA and recently with CPAG throughout the years when my youngest started back in 2007. The special service program has grown tremendously from back when my child first started to not having a para to having a traveling para to now having paras at every school. Including now the transition to high school program that we currently have was not in place back many years ago. So to see the growth of that, to see the life skill kitchen that was put into the high school, we're at a level that we have 20% of special needs kids within district. If you're going to give an education to all kids, it has to be equal and level. So if you have special needs kids and they need, for example, I know they don't have extra assistive devices on hand, that should be covered. Whether as we figure out how to do grants or other measures in order to accommodate the money, it's going to become a team community effort of trying to figure out how to make sure that every child has to play equal ground when it comes to their education. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dunn?
Special education and special services is very close to my heart. I'm the only one up here who has a child with special needs who went through our school system, and I know exactly what our services need, and that's more funding. We currently spend about $19,000 per student for special services, and the mainstream student we pay about $12,000. I believe that we need to invest more. There's so many more programs that we have to give our children with the challenges that they do have. It's very important that they get the PT services, the OT, the social skills services. Very, very important. And thank God that we had an organization who pushed forward the social skills kitchen at the high school, the GNC. That's an extraordinary step. So people think that we have favoritism here. No, absolutely not. All children are to be treated fair and equitably. Everyone has that opportunity, and this district has always stood for that. And me, by being a parent of a special needs child, I was there. And I'm going to continue fighting for special needs children, because it's very important for us to realize that they're the most vulnerable. They need the added services. Right now, 1/3 of our school population, 2,500 students, are classified with an IEP. That's an extraordinary number. Today we have the resources to identify issues, but there's so many more things we can do, and funding is so important. Extraordinary aid is something that a lot of people don't know what that is. Extraordinary aid is aid that's given in lieu and additional money for special services, and we can tap
Thank
into
you.
that. Thank you.
Mr. Venkatesen?
The short answer is, of course not. But rather, I would work with SEPTA and SEPAG to look at really what more is needed and enable our kids with special needs. In Old Bridge, we have a very robust special education program. We aim at helping all students achieve their highest potential. The Department of Special Services works closely with teachers, service providers, and the SEPTA and the SEPAG programs are really working towards achieving all of these goals. The current challenges which I know of are towards staff and program shortages, and we do need to also have some compensatory services, because due to COVID-19 during the pandemic, we need to catch up and give what we talk about for the other kids. We need to give and enable the special needs kids also the same. We need to compensate for that lost time. And we need to encourage more parental involvement in SEPTA and SEPAG. And most importantly, if I have to really say one thing over here, is to make sure we strive to include the children with special needs in mainstream general recreation programs with their non-disabled peers. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4 is from the floor. In the last few years, there have been a rash of book bans in many states. Are you in favor of banning books in public schools? Carl?
It's a good question. I am in favor of, I don't look at it as a book ban. I look at it as more of a parental advisory. I've seen some books that, not necessarily here, but other schools, that are borderline inappropriate. I've seen board members, other Board of Education meetings where these books were read out in a public forum and they were cut off because it was that bad. I don't think our kids should be really seeing that, or that should be up to the parents. I don't think it needs to be in the schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Brooke?
Thank you. So that is kind of a general question, but more broad answer. As far as book banning, actual books, literature that you learn from and gain some knowledge from, no, absolutely not. I do not encourage. I don't support book banning. Since again we're on YouTube and we're in a classroom being filmed by teenagers, we'll leave it to your imagination, but if we're talking about things that rhyme with corn, I am absolutely not okay. Okay, thank you, you figured it out. I am absolutely not for that anywhere near our schools. As far as any vulgarity, I mean, I've seen some recent bills that have been trying to be proposed to the state of New Jersey, and I am not for it. There's no, positions that should be introduced to our kids or any sexual promiscuity or anything of that nature. That should be under the parents' thumb and nobody else. Thank you.
Thank you. Ray?
Having lived in the town for many years, I have been involved in my children's education and have had collaborative working relationships with all the teachers and the staff. The current process in our school system is normally the books get brought in, they get reviewed, then they go to Board of Education as to whether or not they should be dispersed in the school. As most know, in our public schools, we currently don't really have a library. They've been reduced. There is a process in place already that if a parent doesn't agree with a book, you fill out the form, you submit it, whether it gets approved or not. If for whatever reason they don't agree with you and the book is kept, as long as I've known, for 17 years with my kids in the school, there's always a parental opt-out that you don't want your child reading that book. I actually told somebody the other day, you can do it in the library as well, restrict your child. As far as I know, the way the books are chosen, they're picked by educational experts. They use expertise and knowledge in order to pick out the book. So it's not just some random book that ends up in our libraries, that ends up in our schools. So I would hope that people would trust their educators, that would speak with the teachers and keep open communication. If you're not okay with the book, let them know. But as far as book banning, no.
Thank you. Rich?
Book banning and censorship is something that I think is inappropriate. I think that we have mechanisms put in place with the administration and also the Board of Education to review the submitted books by the educator to determine the validity of the book and whether or not it meets the standards. So there's checks and balances there. So I wouldn't be in favor of banning books, but there is a process to have them reviewed to make sure it's appropriate. We need to realize that, you ban books from libraries, then you're going to have to ban, your mobile phones and your computers, because all that information that is in books is very easily accessible online. So if you're going to ban books, then you're going to have to ban social media and access to the web. And yes, the Board of Ed can have the ability to determine what's right and wrong, and I think that's good. And the Board of Ed should make it known to the parents what books that are in question are going to be permitted. And then you can have an open dialogue with the parents and the public to ensure it's appropriate for our community. But I'm not against, I'm against censorship and book banning, for the simple fact is that all the information that you can get in a library can get online very easily. Thank you.
Thank you. Karan?
Banning books, absolutely not, right? Books are selected by educators, like librarians and teachers and subject matter experts. So why would one want to ban any books that this core group selects? But when it comes to selection of content, and if somebody wants to push some type of age-inappropriate content, I'm absolutely not in support of that. Let kids be kids, and they will learn and gain required age-appropriate knowledge as they grow, just like how we all grew up. Adam and Eve were never taught or had any curriculum, but yet humanity happened, and the world is evolving and we are living in it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay?
I do not condone book banning as it violates our First Amendment, and it does support censorship. And censorship is dangerous depending who's driving that ship. We just can't remove books for no reason. It's got to be, it has to pertain to an educational reason. And obviously we know where the conversation's leading. It's just common sense. You have to have age-appropriate books. And the irony about the conversation is that we barely even have libraries anymore. There's not any books left. But yes, I don't support banning books, but I do support age-appropriate material. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 5. Some candidates have campaigned on the district's lack of efforts to reverse learning loss. Please provide specific examples of programs that you would like to see implemented to ensure student success. Please cite specific ideas that have not already been initiated by the district. Brooke?
Thank you. Well, although I'm not a school teacher, and obviously I am campaigning about the learning loss, as is Carl, it starts with administration and the teachers. I mean, first of all, I have my son's standardized test scores right here that show in 4th grade and then again in 5th grade, he is below 2 grade levels in his core academics. Okay, these are standardized tests. So I don't think I should have to set anything in place. I think that the standardized test speaks for itself. And what is being done about it? What is the point of having the standardized test if nobody's going to do anything? I brought it up at parent-teacher conference, both in 4th and 5th grade, and both the teachers told me that this is the way the whole class is right now. And again, that's due to the COVID shutdown. So that's unacceptable to me. I went to the last curriculum meeting, which was, earlier in the school year, really early in the year itself, and I asked Dr. Tui about this. Was anything specific done about learning loss? And short answer, no, they didn't. And so it's going to keep coming up, and I suggest that they let the parents get more involved with this and the schools pay better attention and give before and after COVID test scores that the people want to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Murray?
I know we can't repeat programs that we already had, but bringing something similar back to ESSER, which I did take full advantage of when we returned back from pre-COVID. I know I had my kids enrolled during ESSER summer program. I did the after-school homework programs, as well as I had contacted all the teachers in order to evaluate, like I looked at things from homework assessment grades to testing grade to see where there was a gap in my kids. So my middle daughter, who's currently in Rowan, actually started out as an RTI student prior to pre-COVID. Upon returning, I took full advantage. So something similar where we're promoting the open access, which the teachers already have, where you contact them, let them know, my child's suffering from the grades, what can be done? They will offer tutoring, which they did with my middle child. She actually advanced from RTI to mainstream to advanced honors and actually got a partial scholarship at Rowan's from it. But it's keeping in track of if your child needs to be evaluated for RTI. If the parent brings it up and says, I'm concerned about my child in the testing, I know they kind of do the value assessment, but definitely push it. Be like, do they need RTI? Do they need a 504? Do they need an IEP? Do they need a resource class? Because I know even with the special needs services, it's broken into different types of classes, whether it's in class with assistive devices, in class with service needs. So it's maybe pushing them more, maybe letting the public know more about the programs that they have. Because I took advantage and it worked in my benefit for the 2 younger kids that were in school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich?
Well, we all know that there was learning loss during the COVID pandemic of 2020, and we know that children are suffering from the virtual aspect of learning. And it goes back to 2020 when we had a lot of arguments about reopening the schools, and obviously they decided that virtual learning was the best way of dealing with the pandemic. But the facts are that there's many ways we can deal with it today. No one's disputing that there's learning loss. Right now, there should be school-sponsored tutoring for children who are in RTI, which is response to intervention or basic skills or resource, who are having difficulties. There should be a program that the school district should initiate, and I will fight for that because there are students who are not succeeding right now because of the deficiencies that occurred during the pandemic. So, school-sponsored tutoring where the school district pays for the tutoring for these children. Also, before and after care. The town has before and after care in our buildings, and basically it's a daycare. I think maybe we should take over before and after care and make it tutoring services. We have the staff who would be more than happy to do it and work with our students. So those are 2 possibilities to try to deal with the learning losses. School-sponsored tutoring, and also before and after care with Board of Education employees, teachers in those rooms giving the extra help for our students.
Thank you. Karan?
Can you please repeat the question once?
Some candidates have campaigned on the district's lack of effort to reverse learning loss. Please provide specific examples of programs that you would like to see implemented to ensure student success. Please cite specific ideas that have not already been initiated by the district.
Okay, thank you. We know that we are ranking number 5 in Middlesex County. That's something which Nish published. And there's always room for improvement, especially after COVID-19. So I aim to enhance the reading and math proficiency rates. The current proficiency rates of reading and math are at 55% and 43%, while the other top schools in New Jersey are at 69% and 56%. So to achieve this, I would recommend an audit to assess our instruction quality against top performing New Jersey districts, because all school districts in New Jersey went through the same COVID-19. How can they perform better than us? So it's always better to reassess and identify gaps and address the challenges. Additionally, we have to leverage technology more responsibility. COVID-19 let our kids use devices all the time. So we need to make sure we provide the right level of access and the right premium content and updating our libraries with current relevant books that will support. Furthermore, we need to standardize the teaching methods across classes in the same grades to create efficiencies and bring synergies. And we should encourage more teacher collaboration, look at the population where the averages are going high, and look at the population where they are low or have to catch up, and come up with some kind of programs that would help them. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay?
The district has provided benchmark assessments to help target students in need of free tutoring, which we do have. And we also do have before and after care programs. We offer summer programs with instructional coaches. We actually have a tiered intervention program that's been recognized as a model program by the state. So we are doing our job. What I would do as a board member is I would promote the free tutoring services that we have. I mean, my own wife asked me the other day, she goes, maybe we should get our younger daughter a tutor. We have those services available. Probably the communication's not there, but they're free. So if I get reelected as a board member, I'll continuously promote the fact that we do have free tutoring services for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl?
Thank you. I would also like to address that with the school-sponsored tutoring. I think that not just for RTI, but for everybody, it should be offered year-round even. Volunteer teachers, even college students that are coming back for the summer to earn some extra money could do some of those tutoring. I think more assessments could be needed during the year, bi-yearly even, quarterly, something to that degree. And the before and after care, there are teachers, I have three of my kids went through before and after care for the town. I know it varies based on school, but our before and after care at Southwood has some of the teachers that do work that before and after care program. And they do help the kids with their homework, they do help with all of that. The only problem with that is before and after care only goes up to 6th grade, or 5th grade, I'm sorry. Once you hit middle school, there's no more before and after care offered by the town. Maybe look into offering that possibly for middle school students. I know high school probably wouldn't be too appropriate because they're a little older, but I think for middle school that should be also offered. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 6. If elected to the Board of Education, will you support the renewal of Mr. Cittadino's contract? If given the opportunity, would you attend a forum to discuss your individual views on current and future superintendent of the Old Bridge Township Public Schools? Murray?
It's funny you asked me that question. I did speak at one of the BOE meetings, but when I spoke, it wasn't like in a favor or non-favor of Cedino. I was just giving people another side of Dave Cedino, because prior to me knowing that Dave was Dave, I only knew him as a superintendent and how he has helped me in the past. As far as when we go to reevaluate superintendent, I know we look at stats, we look at data, we look at the performance, we look at teachers' development to see if everything's on par level where it should be. As far as I know a lot of the stats that we have in district in town. Like I know when he did start, we were at like at 81%, now we're like at a 96%. But as far as me publicly saying whether I endorse him or not, is that what the question is? I mean, I will be part of the process if I was elected in reviewing as to whether or not he gets renewed or not. So I think that's the answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich?
So, in my situation, I would not be able to vote for David Cittadino as our superintendent, since I do have my wife who is an educator here in district. She's a first grade teacher at Cooper Elementary School. However, as a board member, I will be able to advocate, I will be able to research, I will be able to discuss among my peers and also the public my personal feelings about David Cittadino. And I can tell you unequivocally, I would support the man 100% for the position. I know David for many, many years. I was on the board. We went through 3 other superintendents. I've gone through the superintendent process, even though I could not vote, but I participated in questioning. I participated in all the avenues of understanding someone's abilities. And I can tell you unequivocally that David is the finest gentleman who's been running this school district for the last 12 years. And a lot of the successes that we have had in this school district are related to him and what he's done. His loving behavior, his nurturing aspect is unprecedented, and I think all the great accolades that we've received in this school district in the last 10 years are directly related to him, and the staff responds to his abilities. So there are obviously issues where this current board doesn't want to address it. The president has said, no, we're going to wait until the election is over. I think that's disingenuous, and I think we need to vote for him now. Thank you.
Thank you. Karan?
It's a very interesting question. So I would look at it a different lens. I think that's something which I spoke in one of the recent Board of Education meetings. I like to call Mr. Cittadino as Mr. C. He calls me Mr. V. So Mr. C is like the superstar of the town right now. So we have all the support for him. But I want to look at, like I said, in a different lens of a strategic planning. What do we need for the next 3 to 5 years? Right? What does this town need? What does this children need? We are working on about $130 million of taxpayers' money here. So 133 years, what are we going to do with that money, right? So we need to really look at strategically what is much needed here. We have to create a 5-year plan. There's already a 5-year plan around there. We have to review them. What's going on with that? What goals have we achieved, right? Define some strategic themes and objectives and key results for whoever is going to be the next superintendent, and create a new 3-year plan and ask for some commitments and what goals that candidate could achieve. So in short, what I would say is we have to really look at and assess what this town needs for the next 3 to 5 years. And more importantly, I do not have access to the information to make a decision here or tell anyone that I am in support or not in support. I do need to have access, and if I'm elected, I'm sure I'll be getting that access more deeper to what has happened historically here, and further we can make some decisions. And I'm happy to be part of the selection process. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay?
I think the success of the district speaks for itself, where we were as opposed to where we are today. I've worked with Dave for 3 years now, and we started off pretty rocky. I came off the COVID days, but he's earned his seat at the head of the table with his knowledge and his compassion that he brings to the district, him and Daisy. Prime example of why we do need experience on the board. I mean, we have board members who still need more time to get to know him, and time is something we don't have. We don't have the luxury of that. Unfortunately, if new members do get onto the board in January, we're not going to have enough time. I think the state needs to know by March if we're keeping Dave or renewing his contract or not. Publicly, I've made it publicly that I do support Dave's contract. So a vote for me would be a vote to save Dave and keep him at the helm. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl?
Thank you. I'm not going to give you an answer yes or no here. Like Kieran said, I need to look at the whole picture. Yes, Mr. Cittadino has done some great things for this district. There's no denying that. However, that's just part of it. We have to look at performance, performance, personnel, reviews, things like that, where the public doesn't have access to that. It's board members that have access to that. So I can't give you an answer yes or no. But again, I would relish the opportunity to get to know him better. I have had limited interactions with him, and they've been positive, but I'd like to get to know him better if elected, and then make that decision based on all the facts, all of everything that's in front of me. Thank you.
Thank you. Brooke?
Thank you. Look, this is a difficult question. It's really general because I'm not qualified to respond to that at this time as a candidate. I've known Mr. Cittadino for 11 years. We've lived here for 12 years, and my first experience was probably a year into my daughter being in school here. And we've had our ups and downs. And you know what? At the end of the day, we always remain, kind to one another. And but every time I see him, he asks about my daughter and how she's doing in school. And so as far as if I like Mr. Cittadino, I don't have any qualms with Mr. Cittadino, but this is a business. And what happens is, although there's several parents and faculty members that come to these Board of Ed meetings and speak so highly of Mr. Cittadino, we don't know about people that may have felt otherwise that work, under this administration. And only people are going to learn that in executive sessions. I mean, they're not going to come to Board of Ed meetings and slander their boss. I know I sure as heck wouldn't. So we don't know this stuff. So we'd have to learn. We have until March to give him notice if one way or the other. And I'd want to better educate and see his personnel file and see the numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 7 is from the floor. This year, policy 5756 regarding how the district must treat transgender students became a contentious issue. What will you do if elected to promote the inclusion and safety of LGBT students and staff? Rich?
Every child has to be treated fair and equitably. There is no exception. And we're an inclusive school district, and we treat every child with dignity, every child with respect. And we're a national school of character, a national district of character. So, the policy that's there, it must stay. The policy that we're discussing is important, and I think that we have to keep ourselves focused on the problems in the school district, but that policy is important. I think that, we need to address it by supporting it. I think that every child, regardless of who you are, what you stand for, and what you believe in, is treated fair and equitably. It's very important. We have to be a safe haven for all children. We cannot determine, what someone's characteristic is or their makeup and hold it against them. We're here to protect all children, regardless who you are. We must make sure our children have a safe environment, and this is the place where they can come. So the policy I am for, I believe that it's important, and we need to make sure that we protect all children fair and equitably.
Thank you. Karan?
So the policy 5756 was originally initiated or allowed in Oldbridge and then got repealed, as many of us know. I would support parental rights, and I want parents to know about their kids first than anybody else in the world, right? Parents gave birth to the kids. It's not anybody else. So parents have full control, and they should be aware of what is going on with their kid. The school system, or anybody for that matter, cannot have any kind of a control over their kid and cannot be doing something without the knowledge of the parents. So in that respect, what I would recommend and suggest, and what I would fight for, is making some amendments to 5756 rather, because the current policy which is out there completely keeps parents away from the situations. Rather, I would work with the state officials, my colleague board members or to-be board members, and make sure we put in a policy which is workable for everyone. And by no means, I'm saying I'm not in support of transgender or anything else, but we all need to have equivalent support for all the kids in this place. But the current policy that's out there needs definitely some amendments. Otherwise, I'm in full support of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay?
We have to remind ourselves that, we have our children that go to public schools, okay? And that's all walks of life. And every child deserves a seat at the table, and everybody deserves an opportunity and not to be discriminated against. New Jersey has a state law against discrimination. That's a law that regardless of the policies, that community has the rights to what they're entitled to. The Board of Education sets policies. That's just basically to give the teachers, the parents, and the students a guideline on how to conduct themselves. So I would support that because no parental rights were ever even given up. If you know our teachers and you know our community, most of our teachers are our neighbors. They're never going to conduct themselves of, allegedly keeping secrets and having a little club aside, between them and the student. Again, I'm out there talking to teachers and principals. A lot of my decisions were made after speaking to Dr. Sasso and the vice principals at the high school. They didn't even just downplay. They told me exactly what's going on. So my decisions weren't based on leaning a certain way. It was based on fact. And I think that policy's in place, that should be in place to protect the most vulnerable children that we have in our system. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl?
Thank you. I absolutely believe that the LGBT community should be protected and treated equally like any other student in this district. The 5756 policy, as it stands, does have some issues. I have some issues with it from a parental rights perspective. Not saying it happens here, but in general, it could happen. I would be in favor of amending it to have the parental involvement if if there was bullying or anything like that. I would like to have the parents involved. I know there's concerns with that where, with the transitioning about, parents shunning their kids or anything like that. From my understanding, that's a very, very, very small percentage of, most parents are not going to shun their kids if that's the case. So I'd be in favor of some kind of modification to the policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Brooke?
Thank you. In regard to this policy, I am for parental rights, and meaning just no secrets. I don't want my child's name to be something other than co-signed, and that should be a transparent conversation between me and my child. If I felt that my child was struggling in some kind of identity crisis or just struggling in general and I couldn't figure it out, and I found out the school knew something that my child was struggling with that we could have been working on with a therapist or, and with each other, there would be a huge problem for me not knowing what's going on. And just to be very clear, of course, I want to protect this community, but every child should be umbrellaed under the same policy and under the same safety measures as the next child. So no, I'm not for keeping parents, in the dark about this kind of thing. And we can't amend the 5756. We've been down this road. So it would essentially have to be a brand new policy, if nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. Murray?
For policy 5756, I think I looked at it differently. I do have two lenses, the parent lens and my business side lens. It was basically a policy procedure explaining to teachers what to do if a child preferred to be called by a different name. Because it's not legally changed, you cannot put it in the student record. So they had a separate folder that said this is the person's name. That's all it was. I read the policy as a parent, because as a mama bear, yeah, I show up. I'm reading the policy, nowhere did I see where it said it was prohibited, where they could not tell me. But I also know I have an open relationship and communication with most of the teachers, school administration, including, I even have cell numbers of teachers. So if I asked them, they would have told me. I also know when people keep mentioning parental rights, then you would know policy 9240 and FERPA supersedes any policy this BOE will ever do. So with that aspect, to me, policy 5756 was just saying, Joe wanted to be called Susan. That was it. Because when they eliminated the policy, guess what? Nothing changed. He's still called Sue. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 8. With regard to the 2025 to 2026 budget, how will you help to ensure that programs stay intact for all grade levels in the district? Do you have any ideas how items removed last year, such as late buses, can be returned to the budget without making cuts in other areas? Kiran?
So regarding the 2026 budget, like I said a few times now, we need to start establishing a new strategic plan. We now know over the last 7 years how much of a cut has been done by the state, and we now are at a baseline. And we know we increased the taxes recently, and we do know now where we stand in terms of our taxes that we collect from the town. So I'm a big proponent of strategic planning, financial planning. We know right now, as we speak, what is going to be our minimum viable funding that is going to be available on the table. So if I'm elected, starting January 1st, maybe it's already right, January 2nd, I will work with everybody involved to start creating, with this baseline funding, what we have, and start creating a strategic plan of what we need to do for the next 5 years. It's not about just 2026. I would always look to plan for the next 5 years strategically, look at more detail the first year, what we can really achieve, look at all the programs, look at all the expenses, look at all the ins and the outs that we have, and come up with a solution. Of course, like all of you know, it's not just me or one of us who is elected going to have all the control to change everything. We need to work together as a team within the board to achieve that change. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay?
We've got a big district. We've got 8,000 students. We've got a $160 million budget that we work with. Unfortunately, there were some cuts. There were some tough decisions that we had to make this year. The late buses that you mentioned, obviously that was more of a luxury. We didn't want to cut any programs, any clubs. We didn't fire any teachers. We wanted to keep things intact. You know, clubs and extracurricular activity is kind of what keeps our kids in the schools. As a board member, we do get bill lists that we go through, and we itemize them, and we question the business administrator if we could try to save some money somewhere. I mean, we don't go out there and do the bidding. They do it, and it's usually to the lowest bidder. But the good thing about the administration, and it's a live document, as we saw at the late bus committee meeting, they weren't adverse to any new ideas. You know, they even mentioned if we have a decent snow season and the budget, we save some money if we don't have a lot of snow, there's money that could be saved there. So the good thing about the administration is that they have open ears. They didn't shut out any ideas of trying to find new money. So as a board member, I would be in his ear continuously trying to find extra money that can give us at least back the late buses. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl?
Thank you. Yeah, I would also work with the BA to look for savings there. I know he mentioned in the last Board of Ed meeting regarding some teacher benefit payouts. They may save some money on that come January 1st. I think that would be a good start to bring back some of these programs, such as late buses. I believe that this will be the last year of the state cuts from what we're told. We're going to have to go line by line. We're going to have to work as a team. As Karen said, we have to work as a team on this board to identify some savings, identify where we can spend more. Hopefully, we can, taxes may have to be raised a little bit, hopefully within the 2% cap. Hopefully not more than that, but I think that's what we need to start with. Thank you.
Thank you. Brooke?
Again, we're just going to have to go with a fine-tooth comb through all these expenses. I'd love to say we're going to go to the state and we're going to fight, but, and I still want to, maybe we can work with other, avenues as far as grants. I would like to look into more about the shared services before and after care. Maybe we need to adjust the pricing there a little bit to benefit more our pockets. What's going on with the Cheesequake School since it's been shut down? From what I understand, their lease is going to be up in a year. Let's renegotiate that. Let's see if we can get some money out of there. The sad part is that we close a school and then we're already out of money. We cut the buses this year, and then what's to happen next? What's going to be the other next thing on the table? So we really have to be more aggressive. I'd like to probably be more open to working with professionals about this, but certainly I want to go to Trent and just fight with all of my board members. Thank you.
Thank you. Murray?
As we have seen from this recent year, the budget is going to be the main issue going forward. Basically, the board had no control when it came to the budget cuts. They were issued based on a state formula, which nobody seems to know. So we witnessed the potential consequences that would have happened this year had they not raised their taxes. I know we were told it was a one-time thing. I know based on S2, this should have been the last year for tax cuts. But going forward, there are a couple options we could look at. Definitely going to state advocating, speaking with the lawmakers of how the formula is done in order to present our cases to get more money. We have the option of exploring more grant submissions, more applications. We could pursue contract renegotiations when we look at the vendors' line items. We also have exploring energy cost-effective savings, explore a preventative maintenance program for even more savings. We can revisit our shared service agreement, as everybody said, and most weren't aware until it came up. We could look to rent out empty school space. but not access to our children. Request parental input for savings and brainstorming like how we did recently in the bus situation, as well as we can fill in open positions we have with in-school administration and staff, which would promote talent retention and development. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich?
So our school budget is proposed to be about $162 million in 25-26. As we know, $135 million will be raised by the locals tax levy, which is a tremendous amount of money. We've had $18 million removed from our state aid package. We went from $44 million in 2015 to almost to about $26 million today. So the money isn't really there, and we're all saying cut services, cut services, cut services. How much can we cut? So we need to find additional revenue sources. I think that's our way of getting out of our situation here. We have a remarkable special services programs here, and we can bring in clients, we can bring other children, other school districts to use our services. Our district can hold 11 to 12,000 students. We have 4,000 seat capacity to be able to be used for other school districts. Jamesburg's a small district. They send their kids over to Monroe. Maybe we can strike a deal with them to bring some of that revenue in. There's a lot of ways we can do this. Shared services. Do you know we pay the township over $2 million a year for security, for police department? We pay that, and we get really nothing in return for our before and after care. We pay for electric, gas, all that services, janitorial. We get nothing. We get about $50,000. So there's a lot of really digging into this, and if you're smart and you know where the money is, like I am, I was the committee member, chair for 10 years of the finance committee. I know where it is, and we can get this solved. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 9. What is your plan to address the national teacher shortage? Do you have any ideas on how to attract highly qualified educators to come to Old Bridge and stay here? Jay?
First and foremost is going to have to be salary. I mean, we don't pay much, and I've heard that from other districts. And during the negotiations committee with the OBEA, that was one of our first issues, especially the paras. I mean, those guys get underpaid ridiculously for what their job function is. I know we have a tight budget. It's hard to pay more when we're losing money. But I think although teachers come here for the passion of being a teacher, they also want to get paid. So we're going to have to continuously work to try to entice our teachers to get paid more. Maybe start them at a higher step level, but all these different ideas are going to cost money that we don't have currently. So we could talk about how great Old Bridge is and tell them that there's a honey grow that they can go for lunch after, but I don't think that's going to cut it. So we got to try to pay them more. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl?
Thank you. I'm also in favor of paying our teachers more. I'm amazed at the quality of teachers we have with the salaries that they get. I mean, they really need more money. I think another thing we can do to attract teachers other than pay raises is have some more programs in place with the universities around. Rutgers University has a huge education program. Have some kind of work placement program. I know there's student teaching and things like that that are done, but I think having a work placement program where they get the on-the-job experience while they're in school, and then like Jake said, start at a higher pay. I think that would be another beneficial thing to get more teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Brooke?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the tail end of the question. Can you repeat it, please?
What is your plan to address the national teacher shortage? Do you have any ideas on how to attract highly qualified educators to come to Old Bridge and stay here?
I mean, what could possibly not be attractive about being a teacher in this town? I have to say, we specifically moved to Old Bridge for its incredible education and opportunities here. I do think, I have my little hiccups with the learning loss and things like that, but I do think given the resources that our teachers have, they are doing a phenomenal job. You could see, but based on these recent Board of Ed meetings, that we have a ton of teachers, an array that seem to really love their job. I know even with my son when he was younger, he had 2 teachers that were they were teachers, but they were covering maternity leaves, and they were just trying so hard to get in the system. I don't think we have to do anything to entice anybody, to be honest. I mean, you know, a teacher is a thankless job. They are absolutely essential, and they mean the world. I'm glad to hear, you know, one of the things that was not on the table with the budget cuts was working on their benefits. They're so expensive. And, you know, I think they deserve everything that they have. But as far as enticing, I don't think that we need to do anything at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Murray?
The teacher shortage seems to be a common theme among a lot of the states nationwide when it comes to the teachers. It's like how I used to look at teachers when I grew up as a role model, and it's turning to a whole different thing now when it comes to how our teachers are. It's producing a working environment for the teachers that want to stay, offering them growth, offering them development, offering them the necessary tools in order to teach. When you start enhancing their workforce, whether it's the wages, the benefits, their working conditions, you're able to maintain your talent. When it's a teacher that wants to go to tenure, a teacher that wants growth and development, a certain specialty in her teaching education, when you offer that, it'll kind of want her to stay with us. So these are a couple ideas that you can do when it comes to retaining teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich?
So I believe Old Bridge does not have a teacher shortage. I think we get qualified applicants and we hire the very best. And I believe we need to offer higher steps so we can be more competitive with our sister districts in Middlesex County. I think where we do have a shortage is substitutes. We can't get substitutes because Kelly Services only pay their substitutes $100 a day. And that's a problem. So we have no substitutes. So I think we should go back to the way it was where the substitutes are paid by the district and they become OBEA members. And what we do is we utilize that as our grooming to be able to get the best and brightest and bring them up the ranks. That's the way it worked previously. And the board decided to go to Kelly Services, and the quality of the substitutes really isn't great. They're getting paid very minimal. So I think there's a shortage of substitutes, but not actual teachers. Quite frankly, I would bring more Old Bridge residents into our school district. I think there should be a policy that teachers who want to teach in our great town live in our town. I think that would do very well. It will entice our kids to become teachers and teach in our great school district. Thank you.
Thank you. Karan?
So during times of shortage, and yes, definitely, I don't think we have any shortage, but if there is one arises, right, I definitely would look for enabling our existing teachers, giving them opportunities to grow. Look at how their current performance evaluation process is conducted and find opportunities to increase their compensation and provide them additional professional development and pay teachers more, not definitely cut. Look at other areas, right? I do not want to cut on programs, on teachers, because they both are much mandatory. Again, leads back to the previous question. But I would look at to cut at other areas, the contracts that we give for the vendors or the services, other places. We need to definitely provide other opportunities. Some other ideas are like, how can we help them professionally grow? They have been working here. Yes, I do support teachers from Old Bridge, but how do we give opportunity for them to grow? If they want to do an higher education or if they want to do a doctorate, we need to support them through some means, to sponsor. But again, we still have a small budget. But here are the times where we need to bring in, where I can bring in some corporate experience by look at working with other private institutions or companies where we can try opportunities to help our teachers get the required, skill, upskill, or professional development and make progress. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to have 2 more questions. Okay. So question 10. Would you be in favor of redistricting and the possible construction of a new elementary school in South Old Bridge if population growth made it necessary? Carl?
Yes, I would be in favor of that. Yeah, there are some overcrowding issues that are going to be happening eventually. I mean, you're looking at all the new development that's happening in town, especially over by the new ShopRite. There's a huge development behind ShopRite. Tons of houses, and I have a feeling there's going to be tons of kids. There's other areas in town where there's a lot of development taking place, and I do believe that down the road there's going to be overcrowding. And I think we do need to build a new elementary school, or if we need to save money, take Cheesequake back and reopen it. But that's not part of South Old Bridge. That's the other side of Old Bridge. But I would be in favor of building a new school if needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Brooke?
I think we have to do what we have to do if we're put in that position. You know, my son was supposed to go to Cheesequake in kindergarten, and he was overflowed to McDivitt, and thankfully so, because that was kindergarten, and he ended up having to stay at McDivitt because of the school closure. So, I mean, it was already a crowding issue, almost 6 years ago. I can't imagine now with, you know, the development growing and growing, what choice we're going to have. I mean, we certainly don't have funds to build another school, so unless we have the option of reopening Cheesequake, I don't know what choice we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Murray?
When it comes to redistricting, I'm actually a product of one of them, because I attended Glenn, shut down half year, went to Miller, shut down, then they put us back at Carpenter School. So the benefits of, I know a lot of times, like, we went through the Cheesequake where they had closed it down and they had to redistrict and put the kids everywhere else, but there was the benefit of collecting the revenue that came in of like $500,000 for like 10 years. So it helped during the time when there was a budget cut cap. But eventually, they somehow go back to being open, because now we have the beautiful benefit of Glenn and Miller School with special services, which we didn't have before in the district over the years. So as far as redistricting, sometimes it's needed to get to your resolution, but it's not done like in an intentional way. It's the best way in order to serve our community, serve all the needs of our students, as well as make sure that everybody's maintained. As far as building a new school, most likely we're probably gonna have to, because Sandburg used to be my Madison Central, then they redistricted and put Cedar Ridge now as OBHS. It worked for the time being, but as mentioned before with the current development, it's progressed that possibly we could end up with 82,000 for a population within the next year and a half. So something's gonna have to be accommodated to encompass all the students while at the same time being budget fiscal responsible. So whatever needs to be done to make sure we're not taking apart our school system, but keeping it, enhancing it, and maintaining it. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich?
Community schools, neighborhood schools are a big part of what Old Bridge is all about. Everyone has, for the most part, a community school. But South Old Bridge does not have a community school. The closest school to Texas Road is Voorhees, and it's 6 miles from South Old Bridge. And that's a problem. So we pay an inordinate amount of money busing kids back and forth from that general area. So I'm in favor of building a school. We do have 12 acres of property that was given to us by a developer in Woodhaven. We explored the possibilities, and we had a plan in place to start petitioning the School Development Authority for funds to do the school. But when I got off from the board in 21, it just fell by the wayside. Quite frankly, yes, we need to redistrict, because there's not a balance in our schools. Schools have class sizes of 10, 12, 13, and then there's schools that have class sizes of 28. So the proportions are wrong. So we have to visit and redistrict. We must do that sooner than later, and it's going to be a very important process because we need the community to participate. Quite frankly, a new school in South Old Bridge is necessary. There was plans to move forward with it, and I'm hoping we do. And I think that will be in the best interest of our school community, because you get new buildings, new resources, and you get technology and security built into a new facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Karan?
I would consider part of the strategic planning that I have been talking about, some of this, because it's very important. We have a limited budget, and we need to work with what we got. So I would rather look at some other school districts to see how they are managing the situation. As an example, I've been researching one of the largest national school districts is Anchorage in Alaska. They have about 40,000 students in one school district. And of course, you know, there are many others who have gone through this. So I would rather look at building a strategic plan, next 5-year plan, because these are strategic elements. We cannot just make a quick decision, yes and no. So we would need to do a strategic plan, account for the growing population in the entire neighborhood. It is not about just at the South Old Bridge, or like one of them mentioned about the new developments coming up near the ShopRite target area, etc., look at the entire growing population. There are a lot of people moving in. I would cautiously invest anything into new. Rather, I would invest something to modernize existing school infrastructure and to expand anything
you.
nearby. I think that was only the 30
Oh,
seconds.
Sorry. Sorry from behind.
Yeah. So I would rather, if I can continue, right? So I would rather modernize existing school infrastructure rather than right away making a decision to open a new school. But yes, if given, that is the good choice to do, then of course we have to go for it, and I'll be full support of it. But again, coming back, I would reevaluate everything, a reset on January 2nd, look at your finances, audit your curriculum, audit your academic outcomes. So that my whole proposal would be to reset on January 2nd, come up, work with all the board members, establish a new plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Jay?
Part of our 5-year strategic plan was, one of the topics was to consolidate elementary schools. First and foremost, just to modernize them. We all know the elementary schools do not have air conditioning. They built back in the 60s. So I am definitely in favor of not so much redistricting schools. Part of what the state does, if we modernize an existing school, the state would give us 40% of those construction costs. So instead of building a new school, it would definitely financially be responsible to work on an existing school, build it up. Some of the thought processes were the grade 9 center, making that one elementary school, like an old Brooklyn 6-level elementary school. But we definitely need it. The town is growing. One of my biggest things that I looked at when I went out to visit schools was the overcrowded classes. So if we start to see classrooms of 25, 26, 22 kids, that's going to be a trigger to start looking at a bigger opportunities for our elementary schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Last question. Families, students, and staff have voiced their concerns regarding the poor food service provided by Aramark. If elected, would you move forward with a new vendor contract since it's Aramark's last year in their current contract?
Yes. The end. Let's move on.
Thank you, Murray.
Quick and easy. Well, I do know part of the food program issue was, it was promoted back in 2016 to start a new food program that we had, which is when we had the wheat, we had the good fruits and normal food that you can consume. Then in 2017, they removed it. So state levels had changed, which was now allowing chocolate milk, powdered drinks, and other food that was not up to our par when it comes to our kids. A lot of the vendors have been pursuing this, which is why we're having issues, because I know my company, we're going through the same thing. So yes, looking at a new vendor might be an issue to resolve it, as well as working with current vendors to see how we can go and change the policy where it adheres to what we need and not based on what the state level is telling us. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich?
So basically what governs our food and nutrition in our schools is federal and state programs. They dictate what we can do and can't do. And so a lot of problems that Aramark is having right now, I believe, is based upon those laws. But when we had Sodexo here, Sodexo was able to find a solution to our concern of type of meals and quantity of meals, things of that nature. But obviously, it would be in our best interest to always put it back out to bid and figure out who could better serve our community for food services. So I would definitely be open to hearing about new possibilities for food services if given the opportunity to be elected to the Board of Education here in Oak Ridge. Thank you.
Thank you, Karan.
I'll be in definitely support of reevaluating the whole situation. Again, January 2nd, this is part of a strategic plan. It's just not for a year or so. These contracts are big contracts. So we need to really work with strategically, establish a revised program for food. And recently I spoke in one of the Board of Education meetings where I asked about vegetarian choices. There's a lot of people moving into the town who are purely vegetarians and they cannot eat any meat. So we need to look for healthy choices. And more importantly, like us, when we get Anigro and others, what about the kids? The kids go to the school and they can have nice healthy meals, 2 healthy meals. So we need to revisit, again, part of the strategic plan, look for the state regulations and the federal regulations around it. But again, don't compromise on the food quality and the choices. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay?
I definitely support, venturing off and getting new ideas. I think a lot of people have to be reminded, it's school lunch. I mean, I know we're looking for carving stations and a sushi plate, but I don't know, it's still school lunch. But, I mean, again, part of my opening statement was I did go to Salk and sat down and had lunch. I waited online. I had their pizza, the mac and cheese, and maybe a half a ham cheeseburger. So it was good. It was school lunch. I mean, I don't know. But every year we go down to the New Jersey Board Convention in Atlantic City, and you see the vendors that are accessible. Yes, I would definitely like to look out there. I mean, I know they take nice little pictures, but there's a lot of options out there. So there is nothing wrong by checking other opportunities. So I would support venturing out, but it's school lunch. So remember that. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl?
I absolutely support venturing out and looking for a new vendor for our school lunches. I think there needs to be more diverse offerings, vegetarian, more cultural food offerings for others, because we're a diverse community here in Old Bridge. I could, not bashing Aramark, but I know I've had members of my family that have worked with them before, and they prefer other vendors. So I would definitely be open to having a new vendor for our school lunches. Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to take this opportunity to thank each Board of Education candidate for being here tonight. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your time and dedication to the children of Old Bridge. We wish you all the best of luck. We would also like to thank Mr. Jajewski, Ms. Walsh, and the Old Bridge High School TV crew. Thank you to the Old Bridge... Thank you to the Old Bridge Education Association for providing refreshments. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We hope this program will help you make an informed decision on Election Day. Please remember to cast your vote through mail-in ballot, early voting, or visiting your polling place on Tuesday, November 5th.